Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. I think the question would be, did this refinery ever even, kick off? We saw reports on social media at the time when they were celebrating the revamp of the refinery, and, did it ever kick off? What exactly happened from your perspective?
Okay, thank you very much. I think to answer that question, what we need to rely on what we have had, people from that refinery say. I will start by quoting the members of NUPENG. I think the chairman of NUPENG, Ampengasan, stating that refinery actually came to life. And even though we've been hearing other reports from the social media, we couldn't lay hand on anyone that is credible to refute the fact that refinery actually came to life. And you will not blame a lot of people that received that story, that news with some kind of, holding back to that story. Actually, what one will see is because for a long time, Nigerians have actually faced, the trust deficit. A lot of money, running into billions of dollars have been, budgeted for turnaround maintenance for that facility. And at the end of the day, people couldn't see anything. Maybe that was what fueled, the way people receive that news. But if you want to look at it based on information from Nupengasan, based on information, from the NNPC, information that one can, see people behind with proper attribution, you agree that refinery, actually started work. And if the news we're having now is showing that, the refinery, flopped after the initial, re-engineering, it shows that refinery actually came to life when they say it came to life.
I mean, in the last 20, 30 years, it's not the first time we're hearing such a report. And it's not just attributed to Warri Refinery, Kaduna Refinery. We spent billions of dollars since the Obasanjo administration on turnaround maintenance, only to see that this refineries don't even work. It's a drain on resources. From your experience as an oil industry expert, is it about time what will it take to stop this cycle of wastage? Or can these refineries really be fixed? Because like you alluded to the fact that when the initial news came out, there were lots of doubters. There's such a huge trust deficit. So now, what will be the best decision to make? Should we just sell those refineries or just give up on them and stop throwing money at them in the name of turnaround maintenance?
Thank you very much for that question. I'll answer that question looking at two angles. The first angle is the angle of the initial asset manufacturer. Those that put that refineries to life. I had the privilege of interfacing with one of them at the Houston, Texas offshore technology conference. And the feeling we had was that as far as they were concerned, that refinery, they cannot come to do the turnaround maintenance for all the refineries in the country actually. The reason they gave was that the turnaround maintenance, which was supposed to be done regularly at intervals based on their own recommendation when they were handing over these refineries to the government, those turnaround maintenance were abandoned for a long time. And the simple explanation one can give to that is that if you have abandoned your car, you are not doing the maintenance of your car, that is changing of the engine and all that, which is the routine maintenance of the car. If you leave it for a long time, it will get to a state that what you need to now do is not to change the oil again, but to change the entire engine. So that takes me to the second, I want to use.
All right, we seem to have a little network connectivity challenge there with our guests. But I think, Binga, the point he was making is it's not just about... Okay, all right, good. It's back. You can go ahead, please.
So the second, thank you very much. The second angle into that issue, because I've cited the first one, that the original asset manufacturer, the OEM of those refineries, I've said that government contacted them to come and do the maintenance of that refinery, and they turned that offer off. I had that information directly from the OEMs, the original asset manufacturers. And the reason they gave, just like I said earlier, was that that refinery has been left for a long time without the routine turnaround maintenance. And that will take me to the second angle. So when you have left your car for a long time not changing the engine, it will get to a level or to a stage where what you need to do will not be to change the oil again, but to change the entire engine. So two areas the government can, look into. First one is to do the overhaul, total overhaul of that refinery. That is one. And number two, if the government doesn't have the financial capacity, or the budget that the government has will not be able to cater for that, maybe they have so many other things to do, the government should leave that responsibility off its neck. There was a time that the government of former President Obasanjo actually sold those refineries, and it's very maybe unfortunate or fortunate to talk about the fact that the owner of Dangote Refinery now, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, was one of those that won the Port Harcourt Refinery. You understand? But eventually, Nigerians, the way they usually do, they went to meet the late president, former president Umaru Yar'Adua, and told him, convinced him that it's not a rocket science to turn the refinery around. And because of that, he revoked that license. We could see that it's about so many years now, decades now, those refineries have been there, and we are seeing at this stage that we are in now. So two ways government can go about it, just to answer your question. The first one is to do a total overhaul of that refinery. It is at a stage where we don't need to change the oil again. You want to use the car example, but to change the entire engine. So what that refinery will need, if government wants to keep it still in its armpit, is a total overhaul. Then if it's not doing that, if it doesn't have, it's not necessary that the government does that. So there are some people that are arguing that government has no business in business. But the government should just use that responsibility off its neck. Let the government sell these refineries. It is not that, the way some people will perceive that is that, why would people be clamoring for government to sell its asset? But truth be told, looking at everything on ground, what the best option that government can, adopt now is to invite those that can bring investment for the total overhaul of that refinery.
Well, you talked about total overhaul, but a lot of persons are still wondering. I mean, I'm worried because a total of about $897 million has been spent already to refine. Now, this is just one trench or aspect. Monies were already spent in previous times, previous administrations, to see how they can ensure that they maintain and bring the refineries back from moribund. But the Port Harcourt refinery also here is working at a capacity of 40%. And we've not even mentioned that of Kaduna. Do you think that these refinery issues, I mean, you've been following this very closely, these refinery issues, it's about time that we really go into it and bring out the truth. Many have also alluded to the fact that the boss who was just relieved of his duty, Mr. Kyari, was not telling Nigerians the truth, because there was a video, which I know you are aware of, where he categorically mentioned that the Kaduna, the Port Harcourt, and of course all the refineries will start working at maximum capacity. This is 2025. Today is the 30th, and we're seeing this story. What have you really seen that is wrong with our refineries in terms of the personalities that are managing it? Let's cut the chase and just say it the way it is.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a time of truth, the moment of truth, actually. First on the list of truths that we need to tell ourselves is that refining or refinery business is not, as lucrative as it's, a lot of people look at it. In fact, the profit margin or refinery, you can fact check this that I'm saying. The profit margin on refinery is the reason it's so low that, in some instances it's about 0.5%. And that explains the reason that, businesses don't, or investments don't go that way any longer. Why would you think, the Shell, the Chevron, ExxonMobil of this world will not invest in refinery if you think it's lucrative? So, fact that we need to first of all establish is that refinery business or refining business is not as lucrative as we think about it. And you can fact check this as well. A lot of refineries abroad are shutting down gradually some of their, they are shutting down some part of, the asset, the total asset. And a lot of them are winding down in actual sense because of the fact that, refinery business or refining business is not as lucrative as you think. Having established that, I am still wondering, why the government should, and it maybe at the end of the day, we will still see that it may still be like we are still paying subsidy indirectly. Because if we are not paying subsidy on the product and we want to keep wasting money on the refinery, who are we competing with? For what benefit? I think at this moment I'll call on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has been doing his best. The oil and gas has seen, a serious, turnaround during his time. A lot of people have been, particularly the insiders, those of us that understand the industry very well, we have been seeing oil blocks, marginal oil fields being awarded, that's, for a long time we have been clamoring that we should see this. We could see the, appointments at the NNPCL. We could see a lot of things happening. So I want to call on the president. The icing on the cake is to ensure that the wastage, maybe in the refinery and in every other aspect, he cuts that. And his policy, Nigeria should be at the focus of his policy. What benefit is it that so amount of money is being spent on Warri Refinery to Nigerians? Of what benefit is it to Nigerians that we are still allotting or allocating certain amount of money to, Port Harcourt Refinery, to Kaduna Refineries? Of what benefit is it to Nigerians? If you go and do a bus stop, you see that what matters most to Nigerians is for them to be able to see the product, at cheaper price, and and let the product be available in all the nooks and crannies of the country. If that is done, we are fine. We are home and dry. So the wastage on subsidies, which the president has been able to cut through that very tough decision he took on May 29, 2023, through the popular Eagle Square declaration of subsidy is gone. The president should make sure that the gains he had or recorded on subsidy, is not being, diverted or, punctured through this refinery. I'm calling on the president to look into that refinery, wholeheartedly and, dispassionately, because the president is trying, with what I've just cited. But this refinery, we have been, is a venture that I think government needs to reconsider its, step in it.
When you say government needs to reconsider its step, I mean, just to clarify, because there are those who say, sell the whole thing, every single refinery, let's just forget about it. Do you agree with that standpoint?
Okay, up to this moment we are talking now, the 4 refineries Nigerian has, which is with a total capacity of 445,000 barrels of crude oil, the 4 of them were left for 20 years with no production of 1 liter of petrol. They were left for 20 years without a liter production of petrol. And we understand that even running a refinery, even when you are running it at loss, you must keep it running. It's not only that you are not only considering whether you are making profit or not, but keeping that refinery alive. So it has been left for 20 years. The president, like I told you, I have interfaced with the OEM of the Port Harcourt Refinery, original equipment manufacturer. And they told me that refinery has been left for a long time. The government approached them and they turned down the offer from the government, to come and turn the refineries around. And the reason they gave was that asset has been left for a long time. So what we need to consider now dispassionately is that the government holding that in its hand at this moment of what benefits is it. You have quoted that huge amount, which I'm aware, if you want to aggregate all amounts that have been spent on, turning around maintenance for Warri Refinery, is in billions of dollars at the moment. Of what can we now pinpoint? What can we now look at as the benefit? Another angle that we need to look at is that when the Port Harcourt Refinery and all the refineries about 5 years ago, when they were not working, you go to all those refineries complex and see the way cars are parked there. This is not to tell you, or to, clamor for, sack or for, reduce in the tax, workforce or whatsoever. But we all know that billions of naira too have been spent.
All right.
On staff salary, on foreign trips for staff that are not producing a liter of petrol.
We have to go now. We have to go now. So to sell, yes or no?
to the,
All right. We have to go, unfortunately. We've run out of time for the conversation, but thank you so much for joining us. We hope we can invite you at a later date and have an extended conversation.